Good morning. You'll see her. You're my wife, as far as it's concerned. Come on. Don't try once again. There's one last time. No, come on, let's get out. Oh.
It's been reported that the energy crisis in the West has taken a new turn after the oil-producing countries managed to avoid the possibility of a confrontation by the consumer country.
Is almost frozen. I'm just beginning to realise how important it is to wake up where there's central heating and hot running water.
Where's Jabba?
He really is a strange character. Where's he disappeared to? Oh, there he is, lighting a fire for tea. Do you know, it was really weird last night how he held that snake as if he was holding a little bird. Well, the really terrifying thing was when he cut off its head and cooked and ate it. What did he say? This was his most delicious meal when he was in the desert. I think I'll spend the rest of my life telling that story.
The Bedouins think that the parts of a snake that are not poisonous are very good medicine for incurable diseases. I'd eat a snake myself if I thought. Helena, I'm really very sorry. It must have been very embarrassing for me.
Oh, Victor. Don't let it worry you. It was nothing. You don't need to eat a snake. Do you know, last night I was really terrified by those wolves howling. Oh, where's my eyebrow pencil? I'm always losing the damn thing. They didn't stop all night. Maybe they're holding an all-night session of the Wolves' Parliament or a debate. Wonder what they were saying. You know, I'm sure it wasn't inflation or the energy crisis or the dollar going up and down. Ugh, this makeup's hopeless in the sun. I meant to buy another kind, but I forgot. I'm so absent-minded. The howling was very close. Your guide was talking to us of the desert of the Gazelles, and here we are in a desert full of wolves. When he saw how scared I was, he said, "Don't be frightened. The howling of wolves is like the light from the stars. They both travel long distances." It really terrified me. And then when you jumped into my bed this morning, pretending that you were escaping from the cold, I thought you were a wolf. That's why I screamed.
Did I ever tell you that you are the gazelle of my love?
You promised me we'd get real gazelles, so don't tell me now that the gazelle you meant is me. Do you know, last night my dreams were full of gazelles. In one of them, I saw myself take hold of two and lead them back home. And in another, I was being chased by a whole herd of gazelles, and I was running away, and they carried on chasing behind me as if they meant to do me some harm.
Did I have a place in your dream?
Oh, I'd like nothing better than to sink into a foaming hot bath. I seem to be completely lost without the protection of a roof and four walls. Still, I get the feeling I'm living through a unique experience. It's as if the desert releases something from within us and lets it go free. I've never seen anyone shaving with a razor before. I don't think anyone still used a razor.
I have the kind of face that only takes a razor. Maybe it's a face that's behind the times. Now, don't ask the desert for what it doesn't have, except what it gives you. I believe that the desert can clear out the dust and dirt that piles up in our brain cells as the years go by, in the laboratory, in the office, in the lift, in the restaurant, in the house.
That's exactly what I've come for. Oh, deserts. Oh, gigantic, expansive sea with no water. Oh, you letter A in the alphabet of the universe. Oh, you origin of things. I have come to take refuge in you.
Bravo.
I'm going to write that in my diary before I forget it.
I had no idea you were a poet.
Don't make fun of the feelings of somebody escaping from the office prison. Actually, the only thing I am escaping from is the ghost of that letter.
What letter? Was somebody blackmailing you?
You belong to that lucky group of people who has a job that gives them the opportunity to realize themselves. So how could you possibly understand the ordeal of someone who spends year after year bashing away on a typewriter?
Oh, come on, don't give me that old story. Beautiful secretaries are the backbones of companies and government organizations everywhere. What would the world do without them?
There's only one letter that I bash out day after day from the moment the sun comes out, that's if it does come out, until it goes down. The words in that letter are like ropes which extend and bind me up. I type those words 1,000,000 times a day and it's always the same. Except for when the committee refuses, and why? I just wish the committee would refuse every Mr. So-and-so. When I've typed it for about the 300th time, I want to jump out of the window. That's the state I'd reached when your invitation came to go on this hunting trip. Oh, I must take some photos. In my mind, the desert was everything that the opposite of everything that I hated in the city. It was like laughing was the opposite of crying, or singing and dancing the opposite of discontent and depression, or life the opposite of death. That's how it was. The desert's the opposite of the city.
I was very glad when you accepted my invitation. I was really surprised. I thought you wouldn't reply. Shall I smile?
You don't have to. Out here it seems incredible that the world's so full of people. You get the feeling that you're all alone in the universe and the world's yours. Oh, Victor, this is the dawn of creation, and you and I are Adam and Eve.
And what about me? Where does that leave me? But both forgotten about me very quickly. May God forgive you. Your breakfast is served.
You spoiled Helena's train of thought.
Why did you not come and warm yourself by the fire? I lit it there so as to be away from the petrol cans.
Oh, is it out now?
No, it's still burning.
Oh, well, I'll go and warm up a bit. Take a photograph of me by the fire. Ugh, milk's gone sour.
Personally, I only ever drink sour milk.
Okay.
I heard you saying something else the desert offers.
You hear everything, no matter how far away you are.
Did you mean the oil?
No, I didn't. I meant something much more glorious, eternal.
Oil is certainly not eternal, and there are some things about it which are not glorious. Its smell, for example. Yet, where would we be? Where would the desert be without it? The desert will never forget what it owes to people like you, Victor, who have revealed its secrets to the world. There was a man in our village, no better than me. He is now a rich oil sheikh, luxury villas all over the world. He will always be grateful to people like you.
Why did you prefer to sleep over there?
Why do you want us all to sleep together when the desert is so wide? I like to keep my distance in order to observe the sea.
So you were watching us. You know, you really are a scoundrel.
I will admit I would not mind changing places with you.
But don't talk like that. Not about my wife, please.
I know she's not your wife. Man, I admire this little trick of yours of calling her your wife so you may travel and take her with you. I also envy that you have chosen this gazelle. What a gazelle. Compared to her, all the other gazelles of the desert look ridiculous. And she's the perfect age. We people of the desert, we have one prescription for dealing with all the ailments that afflict a man in old age. That is to marry a young girl in her 20s. An old sheikh of our village became so ill he could not stand up. So he married a girl in her 20s. On his wedding night, Victor, it took 4 men working together to lift him on top of her. The next morning, he was walking around the village like he was a different man. My advice to you is, Victor, let your body roll around with that warm body of hers. Make her sometimes your bed, sometimes your cover. Take her in your arms at any time. Let her lay her ties on you, and let the heat of her body inflame you with its passion. Let the sweat pour from you like water. When this has happened, you will find all your ailments disappear. This is our form of your electric shock treatment.
I wish you'd keep your desert wisdom for yourself. I don't see what reason you have for not believing I have a wife. A wife that prefers to live far away from this paradise of a kingdom. And now she's come to pay me a visit, and because she wants to visit the desert, we bring her here.
It's not a bad story, Victor, but we are companions on a journey, so why do you not make me your friend?
Because you're not. And because the matter of whether I'm married to Helena or not married to her is something that concerns no one but Helena and myself.
It certainly does concern me.
What do you mean? Now you keep out of this.
Oh, Victor, I can't see there's any point in pretending I'm your wife.
We are not in London or Paris. We're in a part of the world where people do not admit a relationship outside of marriage. Anything outside of marriage is fornication and prostitution. If I hadn't said we were married, they wouldn't have granted you a visa. I had to write an affidavit for the company, for the Department of Immigration, for the police, and even then the moral squad still had their doubts. They followed us everywhere we went. The only thing that stopped them was the desert. If they knew the truth, they'd expel both of us. They'd put us in prison before that.
Oh, no, things will never get as bad as that.
Yeah, they can get a hell of a sight worse. Now, why don't you ask him to explain it to you?
He had to do this, Helena, but there is no harm in him calling you his wife, as it will not bind you to him in any way. And he is only protecting you from the ravening wolves who would be barking at your heels if they knew you were a girl alone in the desert without a husband and family.
This is really beyond my comprehension.
Okay, let's drop this subject. I'm going for a jog. The greatest prescription for everlasting health. Much better than your desert prescription. Okay, Helena, shall we go?
No, I'll make up for it by dancing.
What about you, Shabba?
I have a weakness that prevents me finding the energy to run.
You have an energy crisis, laziness. The cure for that is to generate energy by running.
It's time I got married again.
Oh, hopeless case.
That may stop you from running, but it won't stop you from being my dancing partner. Come on, let's dance.
No, Helena, how can you expect me to dance? I have never in my life seen the inside of a dance hall.
You haven't missed much.
I have missed much. I have never known in my life the pleasure of holding close to me a girl who loves me, who I love. Even when I was at the age of love, I never knew love or music or dancing. The desert has deprived me of these pleasures.
Very funny when you talk like a child who's had his toys taken away.
In all my life, I've never known toys. I wish people could choose where they would be born. I would choose a better place. City like yours, for example, and then I would only ever come to the desert as a tourist like you.
Believe me, if I could have been chosen where to be born, I wouldn't have chosen anywhere else but the desert. Did you say a city like mine? You must be joking, where there's concrete and bricks and where you're hemmed in by walls.
Well, you give me all your walls and I'll give you all my desert. Then I would go back to a childhood that was filled with toys and fairgrounds and new clothes, birthday parties and boxes of sweets.
Shabby, you're talking as if I personally had eaten your share of the sweets. Don't put on that wretched expression. Christ himself had a childhood which was harsher than yours.
Oh, I don't want to be crucified, thank you very much. Even the place we used to call school was nothing more than a single room with an old blind sheikh waving a stick. The only thing I remember with any pleasure from those days was the pictures on the walls. They were posters from the Department of School Health. They must have been of children. A perfect advertisement for health, vitality, and beauty. They had bright, shining faces, beautiful new clothes, dressed like princes. I would look at the children in the picture, and then I would look at the children around me. Now, I was no better than they were. Yet, I could see their ragged clothes and the dirty faces and the flies crawling in their mouths and in their nose and their eyes. And I grew to hate them. I would hate them all and then curse the fate brought me among them. I would look at the children in the picture and imagine they were my friends. And that made me able to bear the sight of the blind shape, like a guard of the gate of hell, and the children with their faces like rusty metal tins. I used to greet them every morning. I would never leave in the evening without saying goodbye and promising to meet the following day. I'm very grateful to these children. They gave me the only happy memory of my childhood.
Well, if you really want to be like them, come and dance. I'll teach you city dances, and you can teach me desert dances. Okay, put it down. Come on.
Yeah,
Go on, I'll teach you robot dancing, all right?
robot.
Yeah. It's very stilted. Wiggle your head and put your arms and your leg up at the same time. Okay? That's it. You dance like a stallion who's been deprived of his female.
I would consider that a great compliment coming from a female such as you, Helena.
Tell me about your female.
I have no female. I have only a wife.
You have disappointed me. I'd have thought a man here would have had 50 or 100 women.
Oh, that is what our ancestors used to do, Helena. They were real men. They would blacken the face of the desert with their camels and their tents and their livestock. One man would have 100 or 200 wives, or 1,000 or 2,000 if he was a prince or a king. Then, of course, came later generations who were more feeble, with no appetite for life. And we came to know strange laws that said a man must only marry one wife. So now, we marry one at a time in order to divorce her for a year or so. No law was changed to prevent a man separating from his wife, you understand?
I suppose without any of you having any pangs of conscience for the woman you married just to divorce her.
But the women like this arrangement too. A divorced woman immediately remarries. We celebrate wedding parties as often as you celebrate tea parties.
Have you personally ever divorced in order to marry another woman?
11 times. And most of them, by God, were virgins.
11? And I thought you were a man of reason. Let me take a photograph of you. Maybe I'll win a prize in the newspaper competition when I send them the picture for the man who broke the record for marriages.
In my village, I am the man who breaks the record for the least number of marriages. The trouble is, the man who wishes to marry must not speak or talk to the girl before the wedding. So he has no choice but to marry her in order to get to know her. And then if she is not to his liking, he will divorce her.
That's the greatest way of people getting to know each other that I've ever heard of. So after these 20 or 50 marriages, did you find your life partner? You're still scowling as if all these marriages had only been episodes of torture. Smile.
Helena, now my life has become very complicated. My children have become many and have spread around the house like ants. I am satisfied with the last woman fate drove to my house. And yet, if Victor were to pay me a worthwhile wage, I would go yet and marry a virgin. How can a man of Victor's age be still unmarried? In our village, if a man is 20 and not married, we doubt his virility.
Maybe he wouldn't have achieved international recognition if he'd wasted his mental efforts on a family or children.
What good is it to him, this international recognition, if he should come home to a house that is cold and empty as a snake hole in the desert?
No, you don't understand. It's a perfectly normal thing for a person to choose the unmarried life. I mean, I don't intend to bind myself in marriage ever.
Not your whole life?
No, not for as long as I live. Let me take a photograph of you by the car. Okay. I simply don't approve of marriage.
But don't you have a desire, like every other woman, to become a mother someday?
A mother? I could be a mother any moment I wish.
Without a husband?
Without a husband.
Children without a father?
Well, they wouldn't need a father if they have as a mother a woman like me.
You would be an ideal mother, that is for sure, but would not your children want the father's name to carry?
Well, you'd have a choice of all the names of all the great men in history and film stars to choose from. I mean, what harm would it do if his name was Marlon Brando or William Shakespeare? So long as he has poetic features. But again, I don't want to have children. It's enough that I've got Agamemnon.
Well, what is Agamemnon?
Don't make fun of him. He's the most beautiful cat in the whole world. He's Siamese. Do you know anything about Siamese cats? He's got the most noble pedigree. I've left him with a friend who shares a flat with me. He's my whole life.
You must have a very broad life to be filled with a cat.
Let me show you some photographs of him. You'll be amazed how beautiful he is. And in my life, there'll still be room for the gazelle, which you'll have for me. Now, this is him sleeping. Normally, he sleeps with me, and in the morning, he wakes me. Imagine, Jay, we're in my flat having a cat and a gazelle. I'll take them to the park. Sometimes I'll take them to a cafe. People will be astonished to see them together. No, in fact, maybe the gazelle will attract journalists to write articles about me. What should we call her? Electra, Antigone, Andromache? I'm in love with all the heroes in Greek legend.
Well, you shall have a gazelle for every name you can think of. I will send you home from this trip with all your desires satisfied. I mean what I say.
I'd be awfully grateful. Oh, this is him eating. He refuses to eat until I come home from work so that I can give him food myself. Oh, this is him when he won third prize at a cat show.
I think they should have given him first prize. I understand now how this cat has become a life-consuming passion. But what about Victor?
What about him?
Do you love him?
I don't believe in love at first sight. On top of that, the difference in age between us makes a relationship difficult. But I am in his debt because he brought me here. Oh, this is him when I had a birthday party for him. Doesn't he look happy, almost as if he was laughing? It was only a simple party.
So what is between you and Victor is not love. What a clever race you are, Helena, and yet in spite of this, you have a party on the occasion of a cat's birthday.
Why didn't you bring your wife along? We wouldn't have objected.
This journey is for your pleasure, not mine.
Oh, I do wish I'd brought him with me.
For somebody who visits the desert, it makes a pleasant change, Helena, but I have been crossing this desert with trading caravans since I was a boy. In those days, the desert was a fearful monster that would swallow up a whole caravan. Wind would come and you would lose your track. I have seen the sun like molten metal pouring down so a man would die while he was still standing up. The water would run out and you would have to drink the liquid from the camel's stomach in order to survive and wait for rescue or death.
Oh, you're making me frightened.
Now, don't be frightened, Helena. Now, airplanes and helicopters have conquered the desert. They've conquered the heat and the sun and the wind and the sand. They have clipped the claws of the wild beast and have made it now a gentle lamb. Asphalt roads lead between the towns. Bedouins have begun settling in the townships. And the desert itself now has new inhabitants. The oil companies raking through the desert, leaving their rigs standing like giant metal trees. And yet, the desert is still too wide to be covered by asphalt roads. And there are areas even now, Helena, that no man dare enter.
But don't these vast empty spaces frighten you?
You have a cat that lives the life of a prince. Don't be frightened for me, Helena. The desert makes me feel small and insignificant sometimes, but as for fear, I have been living with fear since my parents placed a dagger in my hand and said, "Take this to defend yourself, for one day the sons of the tribe of Othman will want to take their revenge." I was 11 years of age. I did not know the meaning of the word revenge, and even today I do not know who are the sons of the tribe of Othman. And yet, I carry the dagger beneath my clothes, and every morning I wake and ask if today will the sons of the tribe of Othman attack. What a cat. What? Here he is, holding a book between his feet. This is the best well-educated cat I have ever seen, Helena. Why do you call him Agamemnon?
He was a great hero in Greek mythology. He came to a tragic end when he returned victorious from the wars in the Aegean Sea. He was murdered by his wife and her lover the moment he got back. How can you live your life in constant fear?
Oh, here he is, heading a football like a football champion. My mother, God rest her soul, in the first week of my life, placed this amulet around my neck. That is now responsible for keeping me safe, Helena.
Won't be long, and you better start packing up.
How long have you known him?
I didn't know him at all until now.
How did you accept his invitation to come on a journey as if you were lovers?
Well, we met quite by chance at a party in London last year. After we were introduced, I happened to mention that I wanted to see this part of the world, and he said he'd fix it for me. I forgot all about it. Until suddenly his message arrived inviting me, so here I am.
And your parents didn't object to you coming on a trip with a stranger? What amazing parents!
My parents? What was it to do with them? Well, I love them, but I haven't seen them for a while. Well, they live a long way from London. Oh, I did see my mother not so long ago, and I said hello to her.
Have you learnt nothing about loyalty and gratitude from this Agamemnon of yours? You say you met your mother not so long ago, and you said hello to her, is that all?
Well, we stopped for a chat, and as she knows that I work in a building society, she asked me to help her to get a mortgage for a new house.
And naturally, out of gratitude and loyalty, you would have nothing to do with the matter.
Of course not. Would I lose the chance of making some profit? I would have got the loan for her straight away.
So you realize then that pleasing one's parents is the greatest profit.
Oh no, I don't mean that kind of profit. I mean real profit.
Ah, satisfying your conscience then.
Oh, no, when will you understand? I mean the 1%.
1% what, Helena?
Commission.
Commission. For you.
Of course.
From your mother.
Well, what's wrong with that? A broker would have taken 2. She was happy to get the mortgage anyway.
Helena, this fills my heart with fear and wonderment. I am not terrified of this desert, but I am terrified of yours.
Okay, let's get a move on. Don't forget we've come on a hunting trip.
Oh, not before I've sunbathed. I really love the sun, and I give myself entire to it. I feel the rays of the sun like fingers of an artist playing on a musical instrument.
I can hear the music too, Helena.
Oh, Victor, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you.
Let's have a drink. Shabba, bring some whiskey.
Isn't it a bit early in the morning to be drinking whiskey?
And bring a glass for Helena. Won't you change your mind?
If you will excuse me, I was going to say my prayers, so God will bless our journey.
What's he doing? Have you gone mad, Jaber?
When we are in the desert, we use the pure sands to perform our ablutions before praying.
But there's plenty of water.
Every drop of water is precious in the desert, Helena.
And every drop of whiskey has its value.
Maybe he was telling us off for the water we used to wash with just now.
Let's drink a toast to the desert.
He really is strange.
Oh, don't worry about him. I can handle him. Hey! Let's see some gazelles. We've come to the desert to hunt gazelles, not to worship God. Do you hear me?
He was asking me why you didn't get married.
Very inquisitive, these Bedouins. What did you say to him?
That you devoted your life to science and glory.
I've got better reasons than that for not getting married. Maybe one of them is that I'm not too keen to have a woman about the house who's nothing else on her mind but to ask who, where, what, why, when. No, Helena, the most important reason is that if I had been married, I wouldn't have had the opportunity of meeting you and coming with you on this trip. To cleanse the soul, refresh the body, breathe air that is pure and free from pollution. Man becomes full of vitality again.
Some friends at work and I were saving up for a cruise. But I abandoned the sea and came to the desert.
The desert is very pleased that when you had the choice between the sea and the desert, you chose the desert.
Maybe the gods of the sea are furious with me now.
If the gods of the seas are furious, Helena, let them go drink the waters of the sea. It is enough for you, the desert loves you.
I thought you said we'd meet gazelles a short while after leaving the village.
The days when the gazelles spread like flocks of sheep all over the desert are gone, since you began your great invasions. An edict was issued to prevent the slaughter, but it was too late. And now what few gazelles remain have spread far into the desert.
You said we had a great chance of meeting gazelles if we came to this part of the desert.
Now don't worry, Victor. I will take you to where they are, and I will present you to them. I will say, "This is Mr. Victor, O Gazelles. He is a good and noble man, and he wants to borrow a few of you to present to his lady Helena." Okay?
Okay, fine.
But I must say one thing, Victor. Nobody knows the secrets of the gazelles better than me. I began my little war with them a long time ago and have since killed very many. I have no other trade but the desert, so now I must work as a guide to anybody wishing to cross the sands. If there was some other work, I would do it, Victor, because I fear the gazelles hate me, and that one day they will take their revenge for what I have done to them. If they had a newspaper and a television station, the headline would be, "Jabber is public enemy number 1.
Yep. You're exaggerating, Jabber. Well, I'll tell you what. If you get us the gazelles we want, I will get you a better job. Company messenger in town? Let me see. Now, we get back on Sunday. The first week's a holiday. The following week's a holiday Monday of the third week. In the morning, the section head, the laboratory in the afternoon. Tuesday's a very busy day. Wednesday. I will get you a job at 10 o'clock on Wednesday, 3 weeks from now. You come along and I'll arrange it.
I'll be very grateful to you, Victor, but just one moment, let me see. On Wednesday in 3 weeks' time, I have a meeting with the ministers and directors. On the Thursday in the evening, I have parades. On the Friday, an important meeting with a beautiful young girl. Oh, it is with you, Helena. This is what my diary says. You must not sunbathe in the desert, Helena. It will take a long time to cure the burns on your soft body. I would be very happy to work for the company, Victor. Then I would not have to bear the guilt burden of more gazelles. There are bound to be other kinds of gazelles. Blonde gazelles from Canada, America, Rome, London. God, what an opportunity.
Well, you won't add to your burden of guilt this trip. We intend to capture the gazelles alive.
Victor, you have never seen a gazelle dying. There it was, twitching in agony after I had shot it. I ran forward to where it was lying, and I was amazed to see it lift its head towards me, its face twisted with pain. and its eyes full of contempt. It had the most beautiful black eyes I had ever seen. The amazing thing was there was a tear in it. The gazelle was weeping, as if I had betrayed it, as if I had broken some bond of trust, of friendship between us. It looked at me like that until it died. And then I reached out and closed its eyes as if it was a saint that had died. When I got up, I was shaking and like a fever. I rushed home to my village and found the little boy that I had left ill was dead.
Come on, let's go. I'm ready.
We carry on south, don't we?
Yes. In a dead straight line. Before noon tomorrow, we will have reached the final stage of our journey.
Okay, let's make sure we've got everything. Water,
Yeah.
food,
Uh-huh.
medicine, petrol.
Uh-huh.
We don't want to take any risks as we go deeper into the desert.
Everything is okay here, Victor.
And then there's the whiskey. That's my responsibility.
And the car. This is your responsibility too. It is the most valuable thing on our journey.
Yes, but don't worry about it. I've enough
It's more
spare,
valuable than water and food.
I have enough spare parts and wheels to build 2 more cars. Come on, get a move on.
I don't know how anyone could sleep like this. It's like a hammer beating down without mercy.
Elena, will you look for the binoculars? I think not far from here an oil company had a camp. Shukran.
Where are we? I've no idea what happened.
Why don't we look in the bottom of the cans? Maybe there'll be enough petrol to get us a few miles further away from this ghastly black earth. I can't bear looking at it.
I knew this would happen.
Oh, my back. My neck. Oh, at the very beginning I knew something like this would happen. How long have I been sitting behind this wheel?
I can't move a muscle. Oh, I'm just so glad we got away from that area. That storm was terrifying, just like a million wolves howling and attacking us.
We've escaped from the wolves of the storm, but we've fallen into the grip of a monster more cruel than wolves. Maybe this Bedouin of ours wanted this to happen to us. Maybe he wanted to harm us from the very beginning and was looking for a chance to set a trap for us. Maybe he wanted to humiliate us and then get rid of us.
I don't think so badly of him. He's in the same situation as we are. He's gone to spy out the area like a sailor climbing the mile, hoping to see dry land.
I've no trust in the man I've seen with my own eyes eating a snake.
Oh, now what should we do?
Have you seen the island?
I have looked all round the horizon. I can see no sign of life. My friends, we are facing a problem.
All day we've been going round in circles, covered in dust, with the wind howling, and he tells us we've got a problem.
And at least, thank God, we have found the track. We have escaped from certain death.
Will you listen to the world's greatest expert on the desert, the man who says he knows the desert like the back of his hand? What is the point of finding the road when we run out of petrol? What's the use of escaping from certain death there to meet it here?
You are the cause of this disaster. It was you who insisted on blindly pressing on into that area in spite of all warning. It was as if you wanted to bring harm unto yourself and unto us. What could we do when you were driving like a madman? I screamed at you to stop. I became hoarse telling you you were entering a dangerous area. But all I could see was you becoming more hysterical and driving harder.
How could you expect me to slow down? All those gazelles!
All those gazelles, so many gazelles you couldn't count them. But you have to go after a single stray gazelle. If you wanted that one so badly, you should have used the rifle.
Oh, I didn't want to hurt her. I wanted to exhaust her, wear her out so that I could catch it alive and present it to Helena. I don't know what happened because I thought we had caught it.
Now what came over you? It was as if you were a man of cement or steel, driven by devils from God knows where. Like a man fighting for his life. God forgive you, Victor. You landed us in the heart of that black, fatal land.
It was amazing because when we got there, the gazelle just disappeared into thin air. I mean, it was almost as if it had never been anything but a phantom.
Even the blood pouring from your head after you had binded did not make you stop. It was incredible.
Oh, I wasn't bothered about the blood. I just wanted to catch that gazelle. I still can't understand how we missed it.
It didn't disappear until it had led us into that deadly, trackless waste where they were surrounded by black mountains and the wind was howling.
It was only then that you came back to us as you had been before. Now the devils and demons had disappeared and you were only a man in a state of shock and panic. But the harm was done, Victor! You came back to us only after the destruction of Basra, as we say in Arabic. I will prepare some food. I don't know how we got out of there. Perhaps now, Victor, you can understand why anyone who ever goes into that area never comes out again. Even the oil companies, with all their modern technology, dare not ever go in there. It happened once. A company set up an oil camp. It was a complete catastrophe. They lost all the equipment. They only ever managed to get the crew out by helicopters. This is the Great Sahara. Now perhaps you're learning something about it.
I'm no stranger to the Sahara, but you're my guide, and if my guide gets me lost, I hold him responsible.
I can't eat this bread, it's full of sand.
I don't want to eat it either.
We will see how long this hunger strike will last. In a few hours' time, you will discover this is the most delicious food in the world. Those black rocks sticking up like daggers, how were the tires not cut to ribbons? I am amazed we got out of there alive. This is a story the book of the desert will keep forever.
I want to get back to civilization.
My only thought was to catch the gazelle for you. That's why I drove like I did.
Perhaps it wasn't your fault. Perhaps it was the fault of the gazelle that made you lose your mind.
I just wish that instead of going round and round and on, we could have stopped for a day or a night. Instead of just an hour or so and then pressing on like mad as if monsters were coming to devour us.
If we hadn't stopped at Helena, the dunes would have surrounded us and completely covered the car. We had to keep moving. It was our only defense against the storm.
I've really begun to feel the strain. My head's spinning. What shall we do? What will you do, Jabba?
He done enough for us already.
You're not being fair to Jabba. You're driving as if you wanted to kill us all.
I'm hunting the gazelle for you. How do you say that to me?
Now, let us consider this situation prudently and calmly. Certainly we are facing a problem, but we're not the first. Others have been stranded in the desert and have survived.
And others have been stranded in the desert and haven't survived.
Certainly we have run out of petrol. Certainly we have enough food to last for 3 days. Certainly we are in a part of the desert the oil companies cross. The important thing is the golden rule: do not leave the vehicle. It is easy for someone searching for us to spot it. Very hard for somebody to see a man walking alone in the desert. And it will provide us with shade from the noonday sun.
So we just sit and do nothing, except stare into space.
Don't make fun of staring into space, Victor. Revelation from God has only come to those who sat contemplating in deserts.
I hadn't realized you'd such aspirations.
Of course we will do more than sit contemplating. When nighttime comes, we will light a fire, and the flames rising will guide to us anyone passing in the desert.
The only ones who will be guided to the fire will be snakes and scorpions, by God's will and help.
May your heart be filled with faith.
You're making fun of me.
How could I? You have wealth and prestige. You have the capitals of the world and its ladies. You have your conferences and your celebrations. How could a poor Bedouin like me make fun of you? May God grant you these bounties forever.
I never know when you're being serious or when you're joking. Isn't it enough that we're stuck here facing death?
The justice of the desert is very cruel.
My head's splitting in two.
You haven't been sitting behind a wheel for 4 days. I only wish we'd achieved something, but every time we saw the light, we were plunged back in the darkness.
Oh, I just wish something would stop this headache.
Here, take this pill. Don't worry, Helena. I will take you back to the Gazelles as soon as we have found a place to fill up with petrol.
The only thing I want is for this headache to stop. The Gazelles disappeared and I couldn't give a damn.
I never imagined that the desert was so full of gazelles. In fact, I never thought that anywhere in the world there could be so many gazelles gathered together. They're all crammed up against each other as if they'd come from all parts of the world, gathering for some sort of religious ceremony.
I was longing to see even one gazelle.
They must have come for some specific purpose. They wouldn't have brought their young with them like that, unless it was for the wedding feast of one of their princes or for the installation of the king. I was so amazed I could only shout, the gazelle, the gazelle.
Well, we all started shouting, the Gazelles, the Gazelles, the Gazelles, as if we were children. We did not know then that you would go out of your mind and leave them all there. Helena, you are dazzled by the sight of the Gazelles.
The Gazelles, the gazelle. Oh, my head.
There is some ointment. I could put it on your forehead.
No, Trevor, it's fine, thank you. Oh, I wish you'd let me leap out of the car. I'm sure I would have caught one of them.
I have never in my life seen so many gazelles. In fact, I never, even in the old days long ago, heard of anyone seeing so many. If only you had abandoned that stray.
How could I abandon that? She was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen in my life. And when the colours of her skin merged with the colours of the setting sun, she was like a gazelle of fire, a glowing flame over the dark brown on the ground, a sapphire glowing and glittering and catching the eye. Then the sapphire was taken by an unseen hand which ran off with it, and I could do nothing else but follow after it, as if drawn towards it by magic.
If only we had caught it and brought it back with us, the whole world would have been talking about us. I've never seen anything more beautiful or elegant in my life.
Every minute I thought it had fallen into my hand. I saw it collapse exhausted in front of the car. And then it gathered its strength and ran off again. And then I lost it in the heart of that black desert.
And darkness fell in. Everything went black. There was the wind and panic and... But where did we put the radio? Let's find out what's going on in the world or listen to some music. I'm beginning to think we've been abandoned.
The people of the desert say there are areas that are inhabited. There are many stories of spirits wandering everywhere. Sometimes they take the form of a woman or a gazelle. Sometimes the form of a whole caravan of men and women and children and livestock. Yet when you get close, you discover the ground is completely empty. You do not see a sight of a shadow of a gazelle. You have been looking at a party of spirits. I think this gazelle that led us astray was a female spirit who wanted to entice us to harm and is now laughing at our plight. The spirits are famous for having a sense of humor.
Radio's full of sand. Whole world's been snuffed out. The camera isn't working either. First the car stops, now the radio and camera have come at him with sympathy. It's like being in a world before creation. Really, I'm beginning to believe that this is an inhabited area.
People of the desert have a simple explanation for everything. As soon as one of them comes across something that's unfamiliar, he puts it down to the world of the spirits.
This is a trap. That gazelle led us into it as if it was sent by someone to lure us with its beauty, and then when we get there, the car's empty of fuel and everything's stopped, and now it's our turn. Really, something is being hatched against us, I'm sure of it. Come on, let's get out of here.
No. Take it. Take it easy.
Well, let's think about something else. Help us pass the time.
Or better still, let's get some sleep. We've got nothing for it now but to wait.
Wait here until we die.
Wait until we're rescued.
Victor, perhaps you can do something with the wires of the radio. Perhaps you can change it into a transmitter.
I'm an oil engineer, not a radio engineer.
Oh, of course. Please, I beg your pardon, I forget. Here we are weeping for we have run out of petrol, and we forget that the leader on this expedition is an oil engineer. Well, here you are! Here is your car, and here are your natural resources, the sun and the sand.
You've got a bloody nerve making fun of my profession. What about yours? A bloody guy getting us into this mess. Now get us out of it.
Oh, come on. Who are you waiting for? Come on, let's go.
Helena, I do not think the world would miss you or me. But fortunately, we have with us on this journey a man who, if he is late returning by even a single day, his company will send NATO forces to search for him. So we needn't worry, really.
I didn't tell the company I was coming on this trip.
My God, why not?
Because he was with us as a guide. Also, I didn't want anybody poking their nose into the matters. None of their business. They're nothing but a bunch of busybodies. I thought best not to tell them.
You also thought it best not to tell the police of the village in case it came to the attention of the moral squad. What were you so worried about, that they would kidnap her from you when they found you had taken her to the desert?
Don't make me angry.
Really, Victor, this situation has now become very serious.
I don't understand why you wanted to conceal this trip from everyone. You say it's because of me. Are you so ashamed of me? You didn't bring me here for a hunting trip at all, but just for satisfying some passing desire.
A man must strive to satisfy a lasting desire.
You keep out of this.
Now the whole trip's been wasted.
The prey has been lost, but the desire has been realized.
I told you keep out of this. Don't stick your nose into something that doesn't concern you. And if that's how you feel about it, I'm sorry I invited you.
And I'm sorry that I came.
And I became on a bloody trip for you. Don't add to my worries.
Victor, let us do as you say. Let us think of something to pass the time. I know of a game. Two men compete with each other over their sexual powers. But for this we need another woman.
Sometimes you talk in a really revolting way.
Does it trouble you to talk about sex, Victor? It is the most beautiful thing in the world. I hope God has not deprived you of it.
If you don't shut up, I'll smash your skull in.
There must be some truth in what I say, otherwise you would not be angry.
Bastard!
Oh, I'm not Yes, poisoned here.
Helena! Helena, don't be silly. Now let me get down.
Victor, Victor, don't take too seriously what I have been saying just now. How can we get past the tension of the situation without a little joking?
A very highly developed sense of humor you have there. Helena! Helena!
Don't waste your energy shouting after the girl. Where can she go?
She's not stopping. She can carry on until she collapses.
Oh, perhaps she will come across a Bedouin caravan or an oil camp, and then she will save herself and save us.
It's very hard to leave go of the jokes, isn't it? Now, go after her, apologize, and bring her back.
I tell you, Victor, there is nowhere she can go.
There you are.
Is this what frightened you, Helena? I was right, Victor. She discovered the Bedouin caravan, but one that has been asleep for a very long time. Or perhaps they're soldiers. It's a whole battalion, perhaps Italians or Germans, allied forces. They all fought here.
Do something useful. There's still some whiskey left. Fetch it.
Perhaps it is a general in your army. It looks a very respectable skull. Would suit a general in the Allied forces.
Here. Take some of this to calm you.
It was a great mistake, General, to bring the war of your European tribes to the desert.
So now you want to take your revenge?
I have no memory of these days. I have no hatred or resentment to want to take revenge. But I fear the desert may have a memory.
I stumbled and found I'd fallen into a whole field of skulls and unhuman bones. It was horrible. Oh, take it away from me!
All right, General, as you were. 1, 2, 3, 4.
But get out of this wilderness!
Come on, drink more. We'll get through this.
I could laugh when I think of all my friends. They were so jealous because I left them to that boring life. To live a life of freedom, taking hunting trips across the Great Sahara, hunting gazelles. None of them could possibly imagine what a ghastly time I'm having.
Don't worry, we'll get through. Come on. Hey, one day we'll look back on this and we'll laugh. Ha ha,
Victor, do you have a piece of paper so that I can make a record of what each of us consumes, so that we may leave a document for those who discover us to know how much a man survives on?
You really are an amazing fellow. One eye on justice and the other on scientific knowledge. You'll find some paper in the glove compartment.
So now we've got ration coupons. This isn't a war, you know. Whiskey's horrid without ice.
We are facing something much crueler than war, Helena. Whoever would have thought that all of this was once a forest with rivers and fish and great cities and civilizations tens of thousands of years ago. They have all now become black nectar in the bowels of the earth, which we extract to run in the branches of our modern machines, to water the plants of our modern civilization. I salute them both, those that became the nectar and those who now turn it into sap to run in the branches of our modern trees. What a tree, Victor! What a tree!
Now he's blaming the car for getting us lost.
It could be I got lost the day I slaughtered my camel to make a meal for it for the men searching for oil.
Oh, I can't bear staying so close to those bones and skulls. I can still hear them crunching together as I fell on top of them. Oh, give me a bit more whiskey. Oh, you sure there isn't any soda water left?
Suppose we gathered together all our supplies and water and went towards the nearest well or the police post or village.
We wouldn't have enough for more than one day, Victor. And we would use the water in a quarter of the time it would take us to use it if we stay here.
I have no idea how generations of you people lived in this desert. They must have gone underground in tunnels.
Well, of course, nobody would go to the desert without a horse or a camel. I would never go alone to the desert unless I was with my camel. If the wind came up and you lost your track, or did not know east from west, you had to just sit on your camel and wait until he took you to the nearest village. I had an old blind uncle who would come to the desert alone on his camel. That camel served him as his eyes, never let him down.
He's confusing the camel with the flying carpet.
All right, don't believe me if you don't want to, but at least a camel does not run out of petrol.
I don't want to stay here.
I'm afraid you have no choice. Also, we should not use energy by moving around and standing up, so please sit down. Victor, you are responsible for writing down what each of us uses. The main thing is the water. A man can always find food in the desert. Water you will only ever see in a dream.
Now, I'm his secretary. Well, this is the first of the spring rain. What a relief.
Don't write my name. I won't have any food and drink from you. You can consider me on hunger strike until you get us out of this place. I won't have anything but whiskey.
We have enough water to last for 2 days, Victor. Perhaps 4 if we use it sparingly. Also, I think we should destroy the whiskey. Not because it goes to your brain, that is entirely your affair. But it will lead to a greater need of the water.
You're not taking this from us as well.
He's appointed himself dictator now.
All right. As long as you both understand, I will not give up 1 drop of my share of the water to either of you. Write this down, Victor. 1 can of orange juice for Jabba.
Is there a black market in the desert for selling water?
As soon as he's deprived us of whiskey, he'll ask us to wash in sand and pray so that we can become complete Muslims.
Why not? I know a beautiful death awaits me because I am a faithful Muslim. I know that I shall have paradise with gardens and beautiful women, rivers flowing with honey and the milk, the blessed wine. In this paradise, a man will never grow old, will never grow weary, never be ill. All this is for me. What is for you?
So in order to get to paradise, you want to die and take us with you?
Is it really more beautiful than Bermuda? Do we really have to die to get there?
Of course, on condition we die obedient to God and his apostle.
All that means nothing to a man who's dead. You can keep your paradise, leave me the bottle of whiskey.
Victor, I am not trying to sell you paradise. I am trying to save you from thirst.
Don't worry, this is the last bottle of whiskey, and I'm sorry to say it's very nearly finished.
I will go and collect something for the fire.
Do you want some help?
No, thank you.
What a splendid chap you are.
I hope you both enjoy your last drink.
Victor, I'm frightened. We're really cut off from the world. Has the wind covered up all the tracks and destroyed all the bridges and tunnels so that we can't contact anyone? Has all the water dried up? Is our fate going to be like those people with their skulls buried in the sand? Are we going to stay here till we become dried up bones scattered by the wind all over this yellow land? Tell me that it won't happen. Tell me that I'll go back to London and to my flat and that I'll see Agamemnon again and hold him in my arms like the most precious thing in the world. And that I'll drink my whiskey with ice and soda again. Oh, please tell me.
Rescue is bound to come. I'm only sorry I didn't tell Richard now. He's my best friend in the company. We've known each other for a long time.
For God's sake, why didn't you tell him? I know him. He's the one who came with you to the airport. He seemed to be a good man.
I didn't tell him because, well, he's just like a child. As soon as he sees something in your hand, he wants it for himself. He was full of jealousy when he saw you.
I don't see why he should be so jealous. Oh, the whiskey's nearly finished. I mean, I don't see what harm it would have done if you had told him.
Well, he'd have forced me to take him with us, and I couldn't have refused him. You see, he's my only witness. Some years ago, the company appointed a real scoundrel head of our section. He got hold of the studies and research that I had prepared and took them back to the States with him and published them as his own work. He became famous. He became professor of petroleum studies and research. He became advisor to all the biggest scientific organizations. Every year now, he is a candidate for the Nobel Prize in Science. And I, who devoted the best years of his life to these researches, I am still crawling like a worm in the lab, waiting for him to be so kind as once a year to put my name forward for one of the conferences. He does that as a kind of charity, as a bribe. I don't know why I haven't exposed him. I do not know why. Again and again I intend to do it. And then at the last moment I hesitate. I become frightened that he'll use his international position to destroy my career. But I'm not going to allow it to go on any longer. As soon as I get back, I'm going to tell the newspapers that he has built up his fame on forgery and that I am the person who's produced those researches.
Oh, what a horrible thing to do. Well, if I was you, I'd throttle him. But whether they think you're mad if you don't have proof and witnesses...
Richard will be proof enough. He knows the whole story and he is going to stand by me. When I get back, I'm going to call a press conference and I'll expose the whole thing. I'll have to hurry, though. Richard has a heart condition. God, aren't we going to be arrested now?
Will TV carry the story?
Oh, yes, this is a scandal that's going to rock the world.
Oh, do you know what I miss most is TV? And especially the commercials. I've even taught Agamemnon to like the commercials. Oh, you'll see him if you come and visit me in London. And he'll be very frank with you as to whether he likes you or not. He'll either run away from you or jump into your lap.
In London, you have a boyfriend? A special boyfriend?
I used to have 3 years ago. He was a diver in the Navy. One day he went to make a deep dive and he didn't come up again. After that, I couldn't stay with anyone for more than a month or two. I'd get bored and leave them. My last boyfriend went and married my flatmate. Double crosser. I couldn't care less.
So now you're free?
If you've anything in mind, put it off until we get out of this crisis. Oh, it's Denny Rescue coming up. Even Jabba looks like a dot on the horizon.
Helena, I want to tell you something. Well, that first night when...
Oh, you were just tired for a while. Why mention it now?
No. It wasn't just a passing tiredness. I wasn't telling the truth when I said that. This is something I've been suffering from now for 3 years. At first I thought it was exhaustion, tiredness and overwork. So I took things easier, but I didn't get better. Then I took a month's leave and went to Paris. I don't know why Paris. Perhaps I had some confused idea of finding love. I went to all the nightclubs on the Big Isle, hoping to find a girl that would kill me. But it didn't happen, and I regretted it because it made me feel ridiculous and contemptible. Even when I went to the Louvre, the Mona Lisa looked contemptuously at me.
Surely it can be treated by a doctor.
Oh, I'm convinced that doctors are no good, and only the desert will give me back my strength, make me feel as fit as I was 3 years ago. I'm sorry I didn't tell you this before you came. I want you to believe that I was telling the truth when I told you about my feelings towards you. Ever since I first saw you in London, you've been the only woman in my heart. I've looked upon you as an innocent beauty that might have saved me.
Until today I would have been angry. Well, it could have been a terrific shock to know you'd only brought me here for some special purpose of your own. Somehow, now I'm not. In fact, just the opposite. I just wish I could have been able to help you.
And I was truthful in my determination to catch the most beautiful gazelle in the world.
And now the desert's let you down. Me as well.
Something peculiar happened to me when we came across those gazelles. When I first looked at all those terrific numbers in that huge space, I had a strange feeling that I was living a moment I'd been waiting for all my life. That I was meeting with people I'd been separated from all my life. People I'd traveled away from. And now I returned and there they were waiting for me. And then when that lone gazelle appeared with all her extraordinary beauty, I felt a sudden transformation. My blood began to flow strongly again. My incapacity became strength. My weakness and feebleness evaporated as if it was nothing but a lie. There was nothing I could do but go after her. I submitted myself to her completely. I would have followed her to the end of the earth. Every fibre of my being, every cell in my body was shaken with an emotion I have never experienced in my life before.
Now I understand.
Then everything suddenly evaporated, as if it was nothing but a dream.
Victor, shall I tell you something? Until today, I didn't feel anything for you. But now I can say that I love you.
I'm going to get some sleep.
How can you sleep?
I can't stay awake. I am going to sleep the longest sleep of my life.
That is the best way to save the food and the water. I am going to sleep also, Helena.
Well, I'm not going to die sleeping. We've got to do something.
What can we do?
Well, we could run east or west or we could light a fire. Or we could all shout together. Maybe somebody somewhere will hear us.
Nobody will hear us. Only the wind will hear you.
Hello? Anyone there?
No use. No, that's no use.
Hello? Anyone there?
Stop fooling around, Helena. Save your energy. Rest.
Hello? Anyone there?
No use, Helen.
Hello? Anyone there? Hello? Anyone there?
Oh, God. I almost fell into their hands. Savage Bedouin chasing me, riding enormous horses, terrifying, as big as camels. Swords rising in the air, gleaming in the sun, blinding, dazzling. I almost fell into their hands. Who would have thought the earth could have produced them? I'd reached the river. I was taking my clothes off. I was about to swim, and the earth suddenly spat forth this overwhelming flood of wild men of the desert, and the river disappeared, and I almost fell into their hands. I was by myself.
Wild Run was full of green birds. Wild Run was full of green birds. Full of green birds. I've never seen so many green birds before, covering the whole world and blocking its windows so that you can't see anything else. Do you see them, Jabba? Do you see them, Victor? And white handkerchiefs. Oh, and they sing in agony, as if they were hungry and thirsty. Put some water in my hand and some wheat in my other so that they can eat and drink. Oh, they're picking at my hands and they find nothing. Oh, I can't bear to see them in such agony. It's like somebody dying. Oh, save me with some water. 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 Water.
Put some of this grass in your mouth, Helena. You too, Victor. Will not stop your thirst, but it will help you keep some of your saliva.
As soon as they appeared, the river dried up. I ran.
I was by myself, Helena. Sometimes I stumbled and fell, and the horse's hooves almost crushed me, but I got up again and I ran. If I'd fallen into their hands, they'd have flayed me alive. But now the beat of the hooves has receded, and the sound of their savage shouting is no more than a weak echo, and I've escaped.
I want some water and some wheat so that my green birds will be safe. I can't bear to see them in such pain. Don't let them die. Please don't let them die.
Don't worry about them, Helena. Don't feel sad for the birds. They have nests they will go to soon as night comes.
Do you see them, Jabba?
I do not see them now, Helena, but for someone like me who has spent his life in the desert, must be honored by spending some time in their company.
Wings. So many, I can't count them. And green handkerchiefs waving farewell, being waved by the hands of men and women who sank into the earth. And I never saw them.
Do you know anything about these disfigured horses, Jabba, that were chasing me? I called for you, but you didn't hear me. Are we safe now?
The horses have gone to pull the chariots of their son to their place behind the gates of the night. They will not return until before noon tomorrow. You still see the river?
The river exists, Jabba. The river really does exist. Oh, I don't know why. As soon as it appears, it disappears again, but it does exist. I did see it. Why am I being pursued by wild men in the desert, though I've committed no fault? I don't know. I remember the river died. They betrayed it. They conspired against the river, and then they killed it. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Everything is so confused. I don't want to know anything anymore. In fact, I don't want anything anymore. I just want to rest. You shouldn't have let us go away so far from the house, Jabba. You shouldn't have exposed us to those merciless killers. I don't know what they had against me, or why, after they'd killed the river, they should try to kill me.
The car was the house that protected us with some shade. I told you, the desert sun has whips of fire to scourge the back of a man, so that he wishes his mother had never borne him.
I don't know why we didn't stay there. I think one of them took up a rifle and came towards me and was going to fire at my head.
That was in a moment of despair you went for your rifle, Victor, but we managed to take it from you.
I remember
a woman came by and took me with her.
Do you mean Helena?
Oh, how stupid. Of course, I remember now. I saw our dear Helena running, panting, shouting, "Water, water, water."
Water.
And I couldn't stop myself. I saw the spring jabber gushing forth from among the rocks and making a river that stretched right to the horizon. And I too began running, shouting, "Water, water, water."
But you know it was only a mirage.
You didn't see it, so you don't know. Now, how could anyone with such experience of the depth not be able to tell the difference between illusion and water? I can swear that I saw the river and that it really exists. I can swear that I saw it and that in the depths of an empty desert I discovered a spring gushing with water, and I was happy.
Won't you do anything to save the green birds? Oh, if only my mother was here. She was a marvellous mother. She'd take me by the hand and lead me through vast gardens filled with lakes, with swans swimming on them, and monkeys up in the trees. They're so clever at imitating us. And on the paths, there'd be swarms of pigeons, and they'd land on our heads and on our shoulders as if they knew us. Oh, she was a marvellous mother. Oh, the poor things. They'll die very quickly if nobody does anything.
What can I do now the river has died?
What river are you talking about?
The first thing they did was to kill the river. And when it died, the colour of death, pale and yellow, engulfed the whole world. Immediately the stars died, then the trees and the songs, and the grass and the butterflies and the ears of wheat. The harvest season died and the spring stopped coming. The music of the dawn was silent, and the earth split open and swallowed the city of love. And in the evening of that day, the birds committed suicide. They killed the river, and then they came to kill me.
Water, water, water. Save me with a few drops of water.
I would not have thought it possible for us to continue our journey through this day. I thought Helena would collapse, and you would only be a few steps behind her, and I would follow you. And here we are. The page of the day has been turned, and our page has not yet. I cannot understand how a beautiful girl, young, delicate, refined, has never known the desert, displaying an extraordinary ability to carry on and resist. Now, we have the gentle, moist, cool breezes of the evening, like a gentle hand wiping away the effects of the fire. Evening has come, and even the river, that was only an illusion, has disappeared.
Whether you understand or not, I swear I saw the river, that it really exists, and that I was happy.
Why did we come? Why didn't we stay there, by the river, exchanging toasts of love?
I wish I could find the salvation by escaping into fantasy like you two. It's such a cruel fate that such a wide desert should become a cage from which there is no hope of finding a way out. At moments like this, It is best to say the name of God and prepare to meet him. Alone. I miss nothing except my children. Smallest of them is Mabruk. He's 3 years old. He runs out of the house as soon as the sun rises, and he is not seen again until the nightfall. I miss him so much I always hurry back to see him, and as soon as I leave I start to miss him again. How is he to face the world without me?
My feet hurt.
This is a sign you have regained your consciousness.
I was never unconscious.
I've never heard them in such pain as they're in now. Yesterday, they were singing such a sweet song. They seemed to be the happiest creatures alive. I was sitting, drinking in the shade of a tree, with flowers and streams and a candle nearby with butterflies hovering all around it. Oh, and in the dusk, I saw him running towards me, wearing a white sailor suit, and I rushed towards him, and we embraced passionately. Oh, until we rolled onto the ground together. Oh, and we stayed there till late into the night. Oh, and by moonlight, we got up and went down to the river and stole a fisherman's boat. And I laid my head on his chest as we glided slowly along the water. And all the creatures of the night came silently to listen to him as he poured his song into my heart. He sang to me. He sang, "Where are you traveling to, my charming beauty? Where are you traveling to,
Only we had stayed by the car. If only I had been able to stop Helena running into the desert.
You couldn't have stopped her. You couldn't have stopped me. What was the point of staying by the car?
We would have extended our stay on the earth by 2 more days instead of offering ourselves as sacrifices to the desert sun to be roasted.
There was no water left. We'd shouted ourselves hoarse. We'd burnt everything that could be burned. And the whole world closed its eyes to the fire, and the whole human race closed its ears to our cries as if we were the victims of some great conspiracy.
Of course. A conspiracy by the oil companies. Why didn't they put gas stations in the desert?
Helena was wiser than I. She was right. To go to the river was the answer.
It was nothing but madness, Victor.
Nobody forced you to come with us.
It was very hard for me to see her running, screaming with joy that she had found water. The blackbirds of sadness settled on my heart. I knew it was hopeless. Yet I determined to stay where I was. But when I saw you running after her and disappearing over the dunes, I had a realization that I would die alone, with no one beside me, and before I knew it, I was running after you as if some legendary beast was chasing me.
We're worn out by running. We're tired from running. stop running.
Our only consolation is nothing begins that does not end.
You know, Jabba, the thing that pains me is that I have been running all my life. I have never rested for a day. I have never enjoyed the things in the world that other God's creatures enjoy. I have never known the simplest things that people enjoy, the warmth of the family, the pleasure of meeting friends in an evening to chat and pass the time. I was just running and kidding myself that I was building up security in life and protection for my future. I was running as if I had all eternity in front of me. I was so stupid that I had forgotten that life was like a wristwatch. It can stop at any moment. I spent most of my life in oil research, and now I've reached the end of the journey. I've no petrol for my car, no water for my body. Life is drying up on me, and I will die without a grave, a coffin, a priest, roses, without a funeral procession. I only wish there was someone somewhere that would shed a tear for me. Oh, what a miserable, stupid thing it is to discover too late that the life you've lived is nothing but wind, nothing but a lie.
Let your heart be full of faith in these rocks, Victor. They will provide us with shade. Even more, we may be able to dig down and make greater shade. Helena has stopped singing.
Helena? Helena! Helena!
Fever hasn't broken, she's still got a temperature. She needs medical attention.
Oh, we've been traveling a long time. And now we've arrived. Oh, let's take this baggage from our backs. It's so heavy. Let's feel free. Give me your hand, Victor.
Even after we had traveled, we should have gone back to the car. Then we would be seated on cushions in the shade, or lying on mattresses that are suitable for a man to die on. Stay loose. I have come to realize, Victor, I am the one intended in all this. I knew when I went to work in the city, the desert would never let me go. Not after I had drunk its glass and learned its ways and learned the secrets of where its gazelles were hidden. I admit I was sick of the strange and fickle temper of the desert. But I knew as soon as I was surrounded by four walls, I could feel my chest tightening. I could not wait to get back again into the desert to breathe properly. I don't forget, Victor, how I came as a boy with my friends to have camel races. I had plenty of wins. Of course, it was the camel that won. He was such a strange, quick-tempered animal. My friends used to call him Gazelles. This is the name of a cruel god the desert people worship in the form of a bull. If Gazelles lost the race, he would crouch down depressed, go completely off his food, and not drink until he had won another race the next day. Then we would ride out together into the desert. I would be so proud of my win, like I was king of the whole world. And of course, Gazelles was even prouder. All this time I would feel a great bond of affection and friendship grow between myself and the camel and us and the desert, so that we all became as one. The desert is completely different at night. I hate it in the daytime, but at night we would light a fire as big as the castle and prepare my tea and do nothing more than lie on the ground, sipping my tea and pondering the stars. I used to amaze myself that I was the only one who had the courage to come into the desert to count them. I would count until sleep came to me. And through the next day I could not wait for the night, so I could carry on counting where I had stopped. And this, Victor, for many nights, until at last I had counted all my stars. And now the desert can do what it likes with me. Let it whip me with its flame of heat. Let the curse of the gazelles descend on me. The desert not only gave me my strength, it gave the meaning to my life. I am a plant, grows only in the desert. So it is not surprising it should someday ask for me. I am intended in this, Victor, not you. But Helena.
I can't open my eyes. I keep trying, but I can't.
This is a sign you are getting better.
Jabba, last night I had a dream.
You had a right to dream, Victor. We noticed you lose consciousness before the day was over, and we were envious as neither of us could sleep for a moment.
When I lost consciousness, I saw a vision. I saw you, Jabba, get up from where you were lying and go to Helena. I saw you in the dream try to seduce her. At first, Helena would have nothing to do with you, but then in the dream, I saw her surrender, her will collapse, and she gave herself to you. I woke up thinking about that dream. I was disgusted with myself. I thought the whole world was loathsome, disgusting. So I went to seek my salvation by shooting myself. Now, that was a very stupid thing to do. Ignorant, completely meaningless. The only excuse I have is that that was before I saw the river. Now that I have seen the river, everything is completely different. Are you
Falling.
No.
Falling into a bottomless well.
No.
Oh, it's horrible.
Helena loves you, Victor. And she is faithful in her love to you. What happened between us happened against our will. The night was long, and we had not yet got used to the idea of dying. It filled us with terror. We don't know how you conquered it with sleep, but we desperately tried to conquer it with sex. Don't be too harsh, Victor. Even when you were asleep, Helena did not take her eyes from you. Even while we were lying together, she spoke of nothing but you. So I came to know Helena loves you, Victor.
Where are you? Are you still here, Victor?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, you know where we are now.
Yes, I know. We'll come through. Everything will be fine.
I feel something like a rock on my head and pressing against my eyes. Oh, even the green birds have begun to drop, dead with thirst and the sun's heat. Oh, they've all died and I'm frightened, Victor.
No, don't be frightened. We have with us the first man among those who know the desert and the lord of those who eat snakes.
All the birds have died, but I'm afraid. Don't go away.
No.
Don't leave me here to die.
Don't talk like that. We're here with you. I want nothing else in the world than to be with you. I love you, Helena. You are the most beautiful and noble, delicate and courageous young woman I have ever met. And I love you.
I don't want to die. I don't want to die.
None of this would have happened if I hadn't rushed mindlessly, blindly after that gazelle. I was drawn by some unknown force into a new and strange land. Islands of coral, roofed over by skies of brilliant colors. There arose the scent of musk and the sound of angels singing. There I saw a great wedding feast, which went on for all eternity, where souls became pure, hearts found eternal peace, and men became as translucent as water. I knew I was gambling with my life going into that area, but neither of you should have suffered. I was so dazzled by the light I got. You both lost as well. I gambled with your lives too. I'm the one that's brought the situation upon you.
Where are you traveling to?
No, Victor. It was nothing but the pagan god Gazelles. It seems that after the oil wealth was discovered, he became moody, and he is now like the god of the Nile, who demands a spring sacrifice to his waters, so to make his people fertile. So now the desert is demanding a sacrifice. Helena, to make his people wealthy.
But he is all the women of the desert. Why Helena?
There are times when it is best not to ask a question.
I've been longing to see Agamemnon. I want to take him in my arms and run my fingers through his fur and to sing to him, to sing. I wonder if we've arrived yet.
Everything will be fine.
That gazelle that we were chasing at sunset came to pay us a visit. And from its neck it took a necklace heavy with precious stones and gave it to me and made me into her friend.
Yes. Yes. That's Jabba, I want to ask something.
Don't ask questions, Victor.
No, I want to ask something of you. Now, please, don't let me down.
Of course I won't let you down.
Jabba, I want you to go on ahead and leave us here. And I want you to carry on as far as you can get with what strength you have. And don't please contradict me. Neither Helena nor I can carry on walking for very much longer. But to do this, I beg of you, for both of us, for her and for me, if you get through, it will give some meaning to all this suffering we've been through. Now, don't let the desert achieve complete victory by putting an end to us all.
Victor, Victor. Please do not talk like this. You know it is hopeless.
And don't let the opportunity be lost. Make one final effort. You'll get through. You'll hear the barking of a dog carried on the breeze. And by a miracle like that, you get through.
I know for a fact. There is no dog barking between here 2 days. I could not walk for more than 1 hour, Victor. For God's sake, let me pass my last moments here with you.
Nothing to lose. So why despair? You're carrying the flag for all of us. Don't forget that, ever. Let the flag fly high to the last moment.
Victor, stop it. You're talking like a general in a battlefield. It would just seem completely stupid to me to expose myself for 1 more day to the desert. I want to die with my head in the shade, and I may not go while Helena is here.
All the more reason to go. What good can you do here? Now just think, supposing you came across a caravan or a hunter near here, or a stray camel, you may also rescue us. Now please go. Now, every moment is precious. Please go, I beg of you.
Victor, you're forcing me.
Now, you promised me you wouldn't let me down.
I will say goodbye to Helena.
Where are you, you my charming beauty? Where are you traveling to, God? Where are you traveling to, charming beauty? Don't leave me here alone. Oh, I want to go for a walk with Evelyn.
Yes.
Will you take me to her?
Yes.
I am not going.
Why, Jabba?
I am not going, and that is that.
Look, a moment ago you were.
Vic, you have no right to say if I should go or stay. I want to spend my last moments here with you.
If I die now, I will simply be the victim of thirst.
But you'll be only dying for this meaningless pride in yours.
I thought of the shame that would descend upon my children when they learned that in a moment of distress I had deserted the people I was kind to and tried to save myself. Now the evening has come, Victor. Do not deprive me of the pleasure of lying here counting the stars, pondering them until death, sleep comes.
It might be wiser right now to start counting the stars. Make sure you leave them all intact for whomever is going to inherit the sky from you.
Perhaps I will do that. So long as I know a beautiful death is coming.
Hey, is it true that a man in paradise remains handsome and young, neither growing old nor growing decrepit?
Of course it's true, Victor. Otherwise, it would not be paradise.
Huh?
Now, I thank God that in my final moment I bore witness to the fact there is no God but God.
Where are you traveling to? Where are you traveling to? Go me not. Where are you traveling to? My charming beauty. Where are you traveling to? Go me not. Where are you traveling to? My charming beauty.
I wish I could do something.
She won't last much longer.
Helena? Helena?
Where are you?
No, she can't hear. Ah, that's important, Java. She's dying without pain. Dying happy. Dying singing.